Hey, I'm KIC and welcome to Gunsmith. Thank you to Seacorp, or is it Seacorp? Seacorp Technologies for the key that we are using to play today. I'm going to kind of blast through this tutorial a little bit. This is a game that is all about manufacturing stuff and making money. So right now, well, man, it's just kind of like, yeah, you know what? Here, let's just blast through it. It doesn't matter. It's all good. We'll figure it out as we go. I've actually played, so I have a slight clue of what I'm doing. The way things are set up right now, they're kind of janky and you gotta like actually move things around to make them work. The layout is not the best, but we can more or less make it work. I mean, this is kind of silly, really. I mean, come on. You don't really need all these guys over here. You can take that one, for instance. You can roll this guy over here. You can take this one and connect right there. I mean, boom, look at that. Much more efficient. So much efficiency upgraded. I mean, technically this stuff is all kinds of wrong. Like you need to be right there, if I remember right. You need to be right there. And technically you're not even connected. So what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of setting up our factory line so we can start actually making stuff and then begin to make money. So what we're looking at, and by the way, yeah, the camera moves very quickly. So if you're barfing, sorry about that. I'll try to spin a little less quickly. That's just kind of a bad habit I have. I kind of enjoy that. So we're going to go to our cookbook. This is where we'll find recipes, and we have a recipe here for camo gloves. You can see that the way the game works, dispensers are where you start by, well, dispensing stuff to make new things. So that's where your materials are going to start. They'll go into other things like a cutter or a heat machine or a plastic former or into a combiner, merger, whatever, sewing, and then finally your boxing machine, and then down on the chute and over onto these racks to be sold. So in this case, you can see we need a plastic block, a fabric sheet, and then we need some fabric gloves, some plastic fittings. The next thing you know, we got some camo gloves, and you do need to sew them up together to make them all good, and then box them up. So how are we going to do that? Well, first we're going to turn all this stuff on. Now, we haven't really accomplished anything by turning these on, so don't worry, we'll get there. If you've already played this or you've seen it before, then you kind of know what's coming. And if you don't, get ready, because it's going to be kind of fun here. So we're going to have to go to each of our things, and before we actually get to the dispensers, we got to choose what we're going to do. So you go into this output area here, and you kind of tell it what you're going to be doing. Some of these things just do one thing. They just sew. Or they just heat. So you don't have to tell them anything. But then you get something like this and you have to tell it fabric sheets and plastic blocks, and then boom. Just like that, you have fabric sheets spitting out of a dispenser, going through a cutter and turning into gloves. Meanwhile, you're spitting a bunch of plastic blocks out of your dispenser, going through a heater, going into a plastic former, and being turned into fittings, which all go into our lovely merger machine. Yes, workers are excited, things look bright, the future promising. Kitty, the factory is starting to shape up. The horizon is expanding. A new dawn, a new day. Time for excitement. These guys are going to go through the sewing, and then before you know it, we're going to have 20 gloves over here, which will allow us to actually have a box of gloves. So here's kind of the thing. I've played through a little bit of this, not a ton, because I like to kind of run into stuff and be like, oh, I haven't seen this before. For instance, had I not played, I wouldn't know that this guy is over here typing away on a tabletop and using an invisible mouse. Not sure what that's about, but that's okay. This game is in early access. It is basically early alpha levels right now. We have extra stuff over here. We've got an extra dispenser, an extra heat machine. Probably have other things I don't realize are lying around too, but yeah, there you go. Guess we can go kind of poke around and see, is there anything else around here? Gunsmith, gunsmith, I want to be a gunsmith. I guess that's about it. I mean, this factory is huge. Holy crap. How did we even afford this factory to begin with? Oh, look at that. Do you want to purchase this area? Not yet, because that would be all the money we have left over right now. Oh, look at that. Some boxes. That was the autosave right there. All right, well, that's cool. We got a lot of area we can expand into. That might be useful later on when you're trying to create vehicles and stuff. I don't know if vehicles are in the game yet, though. Guess that's something we will find out. So, we are just basically making a bunch of stuff, but to what end? Well, you can go into your orders. Right now, we don't have any active orders, so let's pull up our available orders. Being that this is a game about making guns and other things that might have a certain military or mercenary type bent to them, you'll see that some of these people have interesting statuses. Unworthy, untrustworthy, not unworthy. We're not worthy. No. Untrustworthy. Okay. So what does an untrustworthy person mean? Well, organizations, civilian retailers. Okay, well, but what does that actually mean? I don't really know. That's kind of the fun thing, is you can end up working with some pretty shady customers if you're not too careful. So how are we doing on our supplies? So we still have a bunch of supplies. We're good. One of the things I have noticed with this, so we've outputted at this point a bunch of gloves, right? Input 0 out of 1, 1 out of 1. So everything's moving smoothly in that regard. 1 out of 1. Outputted some fittings. I think it's okay. This might actually be... I think this one is... Did you stop making gloves? No, you're just slow. Okay. I think what's happening is this has a bunch of gloves to output, and it hasn't yet. Higher risks, bigger rewards. Today, an intimidating fellow came to the factory. He was escorted by 2 heavy bodyguards, probably armed. They wanted high-quality military gear. They did not care about licenses, legal matters, or any of the sort. They only want quality products, and they are willing to pay as much as needed. No questions asked. They brought an offering as a sign of good intentions. So here's where we kind of get to what I was just talking about. Some of these people might be a little shady. Secretive type, Danny has neither been heard from or seen since joining the Special Forces. Dedication shown to his lifestyle is truly remarkable and clearly pays great dividends, as he is extremely successful at what he does. All that is known of Danny these days is merely a rumor spread amongst his old friends that he enjoys nothing more than his own company apart from his 2 bodyguards, and that he always pays his debts. Being that I'm playing this game to make money, I will gladly accept that. Good. Do business with us and you won't regret it, except I feel like you should be like, well, I can't do a German accent, so never mind. I'm not going to offend Germany. You're welcome. But something I've kind of noticed here is that you do kind of sometimes have stuff basically bottlenecking over here. Like, look at this. We have tons of input in terms of the plastics, but our input in terms of gloves, not so much. So we have 1 glove in there, and we have 107, 108 plastic fittings. That means that, well, we kind of need more gloves so that our product line can be moving a little more efficiently. So how do you do that? Well, you basically put down more dispensers and spit out more gloves. I kind of think that's really what it comes down to. So that means more dispensers, more cutters. I mean, because that's kind of the problem here, is the cutter is the problem, right? We don't have a way at this point, we can go ahead and play with the build menu now, of putting in any sort of splitting things because, well, we got to do that. Actually, you know what? Before we get too deep into the weeds over there, let's start spending some money on research. I don't know how much we're going to spend. We'll start off... Man, I don't know. I kind of just want to spend a bunch of money, but I really probably shouldn't. We'll do $26. 26 RP research points, not 26 bucks. We'll do 26 for now, and we'll kind of start with that and see how that goes. I mean, technically we could move this guy around if we really wanted. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking maybe we'll move and add some different stuff over here. How are we doing on the order side? I don't want to forget about that. Do we have any active orders? No. So here we can go ahead and fulfill this order if we want a quick infusion of a little bit of money. Fulfillment within, we basically have an hour 14 for that, so we'll go ahead and do that. We'll take that, click over to active orders, and say done. So it is saying that we're running out of some things here. Realistically, though, we don't really need to buy some of this stuff right now. I mean, we probably will just to have a few more. We'll buy some of that, and I guess prices have gone up on fabric. That's kind of a shame. But again, remember what I was just saying. We got a bunch of gloves just kicking around over here that haven't been cut yet because the cutter moves at a different speed. Then we have a bunch of plastic fittings just kind of kicking around over here in the merger. So technically what we could do for a little while is we could shut these machines down, these things right here, and that would actually cut our maintenance costs down by a fair amount. I mean, we'd be looking at dropping the maintenance cost by about, what, $85, $95 a day, something like that. And we could just let these guys run and maybe run another dispenser with another cutter and let the gloves try to catch up a little bit. I don't know. That's one of those things, like, I don't know what the best way to do this is. Part of me wants to just build as much crap as possible and do it as quickly as possible. But for now, let's go ahead and play with the build menu a bit. So you got to kind of take care of a bunch of different things because you really are doing basically everything within the factory. So one of the things you can do is you can stack your racks. You can see we have racks stacked up 2 high over here, but technically we should be able to stack them up 3 high. There we go. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. So we can stack them up 3 high, and that's not really going to be enough. So we'll just go ahead and add some additional shelving for now. We're not going to go crazy with it. That's probably fine for now. Basically, you're looking at being able to put 2 boxes on each rack. So you figure one rack is going to give you the equivalent right now for gloves, 40 gloves, because each box is worth, each box rather holds 20 gloves. So we'll just kind of go with that for the moment. And then let's see, what did we have over here? We did have a dispenser kicking around, right? We have a dispenser and we have a boxing machine and we have a heater. I want to snag that dispenser that's just kind of kicking around. And we're going to run you over to... We're going to put you right here for now. We can see the arrows. When I'm putting that down, you can see the arrow is pointing kind of a specific direction. That kind of lets you know where your input direction and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say we do something like this. I think what we'll do is we'll just do a cutting machine right there. And then we'll do a little belt. We're just going to basically do a straight belt right in there. Butt this thing up right, crap, right there. I cannot do that. Are you... You might actually... I don't know if that one's actually going to make it because my placement is not great because that big old beam is right there. Let's see. Okay, you do fit. Perfect. You fit. Excellent. So theoretically now, with 2 cutters going, let me turn that on. We should see gloves coming out a little faster now. And what we could theoretically do is let this build up on the plastic fittings. I mean, look at that. We have so many plastic fittings over there that we could just kind of let things roll for a while on that. Don't necessarily want to just, you know, twiddle my thumbs, but to a certain degree, you can only do so much, you know? Let's add some more fabric sheets because we're going to need some more of them. I'm probably going to let the plastic blocks run out for the time being. Either that or we'll just turn the machines off. Why don't we just go ahead and turn those off for the time being? And we can hoover up anything that we don't want to go through there. Like you're going to just take the blocks and you'll hold them for processing later, which is fine. Hoover, by the way, literally is a term in the game. I can show you right over here. Hoover mode lets you just scoop up stuff if, you know, things fall to the floor, that sort of stuff. Makes perfect sense. I like that. It has a certain fun ring to it, I think. Theoretically, we should be able to watch the plastic fittings be going down. Meanwhile, the fabric gloves should go up a little bit. A man working for the intense individual, Mr. Werner, came today with a list of products. He said that he wanted fast delivery. We have 24 minutes to fulfill that. That is not a lot of time. So here's where we start running into the fun questions of, wait a minute. So we're throwing all of these gloves, and I'm kind of doing this intentionally, all of these gloves in here, and all of these plastic fittings. How are we supposed to keep up with that? This poor merging machine can't. So now is where we start doing this. And we go, well, it's time to just say the heck with it, and let's do a second merging machine. Which, of course, means you're going to need a whole host of other things. So it's kind of a... I don't know. You find yourself doing a lot of juggling is what ends up happening here. I'm not overly fond of placing some of this stuff right now. Like, the angles of things, I wish they would maybe snap a little bit. They do snap, but I wish they would kind of snap to each other or something. I don't know. It's okay. It's not a huge deal, but there's definitely some getting used to things required for me. And maybe you won't find that to be the case. I don't know. So we're going to have to do a little bit of creative... Well, let's see. We need another dispenser for one. So let's grab another dispenser. That's going to be under the line start, so we'll do a dispenser. And I might need to switch these around and move this stuff around. And in fact, let's just go ahead and turn this off for now. And you have a ton of gloves you're waiting to spit out. I mean, look at that. Slowly going down. I'll let you just spit those out for the moment. And then I'll figure out how I want to do this. We need to basically copy this setup that we have going on over here. Now, as I said before, this is not the most efficient setup in the world. But because how I want to do this, what I want to do is basically be able to have two merger machines going on at the same time, which means we need to feed both of them all of the required parts. Now, one of the things we could do here is we could feed this plastic fittings like just straight from here. And part of me wants to try that just to see how that goes. I mean, part of me wants to, like, part of me is curious if we could just take, like, what do we have right here? We have, I want to try something. I haven't tried doing this, so you know what? I'm going to try outputting, no, I thought I could do that. Maybe not. Oh, because I haven't hoovered them up. That's why. You can hoover these things up somehow. I don't know if I can hoover them up as an input. I don't think I can. I could just like let a bunch of these fall to the ground and then hoover them up. And then what you can do is you can actually dispense them. But that doesn't look like that's really going to be a viable option. So let's instead just move things around here. And we'll do a kind of more proper setup, I think. So we can do these guys over here, maybe. And I gotta leave room for a belt into that way, and then we need a belt sideways. And we'll just double click to move you. There we go. Everything should line up. And then we also need to get a forming machine, because we need a plastic former. And let's go ahead and rotate that guy in. You're going to go basically straight in there. How about that? Problem right now is we don't really have many belt options, so I might have to move all this stuff around a little bit because we need a little more space. You'll notice that things just don't quite fit right now. So here, let's take you out. Are you done? You are almost done. That's cool. We'll let that finish up here momentarily. I mean, it's spitting things out on the wrong side, but that's okay. We can let it go for a little while. Look at that. Let's turn this back on. Since we now actually have more gloves than anything else, we'll turn that back on too. You should have a bunch of stuff kind of stored up. Hi, Cat. Welcome back. How are we doing on our order, by the way? We might need... I think we're going to need more racks. Let's take care of that first, because we have to store up 500 of these. So that's going to be a lot of boxes. Okay. 11 storage racks with at least one spot available. Excellent. Now, yes, I should probably say, I know I've spent a ton of money right now, but that's kind of the thing. I mean, any of these types of games, you got to spend money to make money, right? It's the old adage. You got to spend money to make money. Otherwise, you know, it's not going to work. Whatever. I think once we get all of this operational, it'll be okay. You are totally done. Okay, we'll power that off for the moment. Wait a minute. Nope, wrong one. That one. That one's done. Okay, I need to move you around a little bit. Actually, that one needs to be powered off for a moment, too. I should also mention, as far as I know, there's no way to speed up the game time, or to slow it down for that matter, which... just kind of something to keep in mind. This is a game that will require some time on your part to play, because you can't modify that as best I can tell. Which, that'd be kind of nice. I would appreciate that, but that's okay. Certainly not the end of the world, not by a long stretch. We're going to need a few more belts in here, so we'll add these guys. Nope, you need to face the correct direction there, belts. I'm going to use it from this angle, because that way I can actually see what I'm doing. And then I think we'll end up being able to make that work. Okay, so let's rotate you. can do something like that. I'm going to really just jankify this and kind of do it really, really poorly because I want to do it on the cheap as much as I can. There we go. So we'll turn you on and turn you on. You need to dispense plastic blocks, and we'll turn you on, and you need plastic fittings. So we now need to buy some more fabric. So we'll just go ahead and buy a bunch of that. And can also type this stuff in, just in case you're wondering. Yes, you can. We'll buy a bunch of that. And look at that. Just like that, we're down to $97,000 rather. We do have 92 research points available, though, which is good. We don't have any active research, so why don't we learn zipper? We're going to go ahead and start researching zipper. That's going to take a day to research that. I'm not sure if I want to drop maintenance cost, minus 3%. That might not be bad in the long run. Minus 5%. I kind of want to do the belt upgrade. It'd be nice to do some little 1 meter belts instead of a bunch of 2 meter belts or however they're working out right now. But I'd like to do this guy right here, research that, and then I'd like to do the combat apparel research. So for right now, I'm going to drop the research down a little bit. That's going to bring our costs down. And right now, I mean, honestly, we don't have a whole lot of money to kick around. So what are we looking at? We have 360 gloves. We still need a bunch more. But this is what happens. This is what happens to me, okay? I don't realize that I did not connect it. Because, again, things don't snap to each other. They just snap to a grid. And then you end up with this where you have, I guess maybe the update changed it. The game was updated today. Maybe that changed it so the Hoover stuff is no longer there. I don't know. Maybe I just never quite understood how they ended up there to begin with. That's entirely possible too. Anyway, whatever. Let's get this guy ready to go. You're going to be outputting camo gloves. Let's turn you on. Theoretically now, if I turn you on, you can spit out some plastic blocks. You'll get some plastic fittings. We'll get some gloves coming in here. And we'll be able to basically double our production speed, double our production capacity. I guess I need to do that. Let's turn the heater on. That way we can get the plastic fittings in. Oh, boy. Come on. We can do this. Here we go. 15 gloves, plastic fittings. There we go. Let's output some gloves. I want to see some gloves spit out. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. We have run out of plastic fittings. Let's see. Old friends, an old square-faced gentleman came today. His face was harsh and yet soothing and calm. It's an interesting combination. He probably saw too much in life. We talked for a few hours. He's an old friend of my father's, a proud soldier. Gerard is his name. He was quite secretive about my father's old business, but he offered me some financial help, a gift for friendship's sake. Is offering you 15 grand. Done. We shook hands and I thanked him. We will be doing business. Old friends are precious. I'm just going to say the use of commas in this game is entirely wrong. Some of those are full stops. They are not commas. Are you... You don't seem to be spitting out because you're not on. My goodness. Can we do this right now, KIC? There we go. My use of machines is wrong. Oh, geez. There I go. See? I say the use of the commas are wrong, and then I do something totally dumb and wrong myself. That's how it goes around here. That's how it goes. Theoretically, we are now actively making a lot more things. If we look at our order, we have an active order. We have 14 minutes and change to fulfill this. It won't take much longer. If we look at our boxing machine, you'll see the camo gloves are increasing fairly rapidly. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, things are going pretty quickly now. And thanks to Gerard and Danny, we're actually kind of doing okay on the money front. We're not too far behind. Let's go to our research side. So zipping machine has been unlocked. I want to now start research on combat apparel. We have 51 points available, so I'm just kind of thinking, what is that going to leave us here? We could do... I wouldn't mind doing one of those. I mean, if you can get up to like 20% off your maintenance cost, that's pretty significant. I imagine by the time you are rocking and rolling in this game, you have a lot of stuff going on. Provides access to the flow splitter, not a spitter. A marvelous machine that splits the input flow into two outputs. That would be awesome, because theoretically, you could take the input from one... Like you could maybe split... If I'm understanding that right, what I'm thinking is you can take this right here and split this into these two machines. And take, I don't know, this right here and split that into these two machines. That would be great. That'd be really handy if so. How are we doing on... You're a little overstocked, you're a little overstocked, and that's fine. We're going to let those go for right now. I think I'm actually going to let the materials run out because we're at the point where we can turn this order in. So let's go ahead and do it. There you go. Boom. Reputation with Danny Werner, Torfius, has increased. So if we go back to our orders, we'll see that we do have some other orders that we could fill right now. Oh, look at that. You also want 45 ACP. I assume you want gloves and bullets. I don't have a way of doing that right now. You want some combat trousers. Well, what do we have in the combat trousers? We don't have the combat trousers. In the cookbook, I mean. Combat Apparel 1 has finished. Now we can do combat trousers. So 3 fabric sheets, combat trousers, sewing level 2, zipping level 2, and then the end of the line. Really? So you don't need a merger or anything. Sewing, zipping, and done, basically. So let's go back to our orders. What do we have right now as options? So combat trousers and camo gloves. Is there anyone else? We'll get new orders soon. The way this works, the orders kind of refresh every so often. So I kind of want to play with some combat trousers. I kind of like the sound of that. That really does mean setting up a whole separate area over here, though. So maybe we can set up like a little area right here where we'll spit out some fabric and have a couple of... I don't know if we can... I don't know if we can spit it out on this side. What was the recipe? It needs sewing first and then zippering. So... I'd rather use one boxing machine, but if I remember right, we have another one over here. But then again, those are pretty expensive to run every day, so that's kind of the caveat, right? You can run a bunch of machines, but you got to remember that the more machines you run, the more expensive it is, the more money it's going to cost to do all this stuff. We've actually run out of a lot of this stuff, so I can turn some of these dispensers off for the moment. And I'm going to do that just to save on maintenance costs for right now, but we'll let the cutters keep going because they have work to do, and we'll let... plastic formers are actually done. How about that? We'll turn them off for now, but we have an excess of plastic fittings, so it should be okay for right now. They're still getting gloves. They're still spitting out gloves. It's all good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap things up right here, and I think what we'll do is we will be back on Monday. If you're watching this in real time, otherwise just click through the playlist. And we're going to continue playing this because thus far, I gotta say, I'm enjoying me some Gunsmith. So I will catch you on the next one as I hope we move into combat trousers because look at that right there, 20 grand. I mean, I don't know what it costs for a zipping machine. I'm guessing it's not cheap. Where would you be? Start, line, cool, cutting. You're not under cutting, forging, forming, welding, merging, punching, sewing. You're under sewing. $12.50 for a machine. That's not bad. I think we can stand to make a crap ton of money if we can get that done. So we will look into that on the next one. So until then, thanks for watching. See you later.